You too. What's good, show with everything water, and water is everything, my familiar. I got for y'all the most broken, invincible void hunter build in Destiny 2 Lightfall. If you guys like this type of video, man, leave a like and subscribe. We're almost at 100 subs. Let's get to that by the end of this month, and let's get straight into that video. Now, a lot of y'all probably thinking like the Franklin, the build with the volatile rounds and invisibility is probably one of the best builds, but I'm serious. This build is endgame. It is probably the most broken build for hunters right now, and endgame supportive. It does everything right, everything you need it to do. Then better than Franklin when it comes to endgame content. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so starting off this build, we're gonna have to go with the exotic piece, the Omnioculus. The Omnioculus is really broken, and I'm explaining to you guys why this build is broken. Now, the perk of the Omnioculus is you gain a second smoke bomb charge and heavy damage resistance while invisible. When you make an ally invisible, they gain damage resistance while invisible, and you gain melee energy. You guys don't understand how broken this is. Like, it's crazy, because you can literally spam melee as long as you have two other fire team members. You will have infinite invisibility, infinite weakened enemies, infinite melee energy, like infinite. And I really do mean that. You guys can see in the video, I can constantly, as long as I'm hitting both of them, I will constantly recharge my melee energy. And this build is so perfect because you can also pair this with the leg, not leg, my fault, the arm melee kickstart mod that you can put on the arms. But now I'm gonna give you guys the build and all the aspects and all that. Let's get straight into it. Now, starting off with my abilities, I've always go with Shadow Shot, Mobius Quiver. I feel like this is like my go-to. I always like this one instead of the you can use that one, or you can use the Deadfall. Both of them are works perfectly. Deadfall just lasts longer, and it just takes more time to charge though. So yeah, but for my first ability, I'm using Gambler's Dodge. You want to be able to recharge your melee when you're around enemies instead of using Marksman. And then for nades, I'm using Vortex Grenade. Simple, you know, nothing crazy. You can really use any nade you want to, but I'm more of like a Vortex. You can use Suppressor Grenade too, and that can help off with one of the builds. It doesn't really matter. And then coming off from the aspects, these are important. I am using Trapper's Ambush. This gives me like an air dodge where like I can go in the air and smash the ground, which weakens enemies and also makes my combatants invisible, which is the most important part of this whole build. Then I'm also using Stylish Executioner, my fault, defeating a weakened or suppressed or volatile targets invisibly, and True Sight, which is really important. You want to be able to because you're going to be weakened enemies, so you want to be able to go invisible too. Now for my fragments, it's only 3, nothing crazy. You can really like switch it how you want to. I'm using Echo of Vigilance. This is probably one of the best fragments for any build, because defeating targets while your shields are depleted grants temporary void shield, which is important because every time you don't have, because when you play an endgame, you're not gonna always resilience, not gonna always matter. So being able to get extra shield when your shield is down is important. And for this, I'm using Echo of Demeanoring, which is suppresses targets, all that stuff. And then defeating a suppressed target creates Void Breach. Then I'm also using Echo of Explosion. So this is basically Void abilities, final blows, cause targets to explode. But yeah, this is everything you need to know for my build. Weapons, for heavy weapons, I always go Leviathan's Breath if I'm doing endgame to do higher damage. But if it's more just like lost sectors, or you know, if I'm doing like strikes, I'm probably gonna go Retrofit Escapade. It's just more ad clear, and it does crazy damage. I also like using the Lingering Dread, because it's just more of just like it's like a crowd control. You know, even though I'm invisibly, I still want to be able to freeze enemies. Or you can use, you know, for example, I have a God roll, by the way. You know, I had to put that in. But yeah, that's really it for this build, man. I'm gonna show y'all clips of me just going crazy and how this build works, so you guys just pay attention to how everything works, man. But yeah, this is your boy Everything Water, and water is everything, man. Appreciate you guys, man. 100 subs. Let's get to it. I'm out.